Make America Great Again. It was the slogan of Donald Trump's entire presidential campaign for 2016, and yet when he entered office, he actually entered with a 44% approval rating, which according to Gallup is the lowest approval rating for a president entering office since the 1940s. Now, since his election, liberals have taken to social media to decry with shouts of "Not my president" and "When was America ever great in the first place?" Now, Merriam-Webster actually defines greatness as remarkable in its magnitude, degree, or effectiveness. America being great doesn't mean that it was great for every individual within its borders at a given time, however, that it was great in comparison to other countries. Due to our capitalistic nature, there will always be inherent winners and losers, economically speaking. Just like certain countries will be great or subpar in comparison to one another. Now, to combat this saddening decline in patriotism, there are a few points that you need to remember about America, such as that when Vermont freed its slaves in 1777, it was actually the first state to do so. Now, America didn't actually go and free all of its slaves for nearly another century. However, the territory within its borders was one of the first in the entire world to begin the process of abolishing slavery. Now, slavery and the institution itself and the fact that it has such a big part in American history is heinous. However, the fact that we were one of the first to do so is commendable, especially considering England did not free its slaves until 1833 and France in 1794, which both took place after Vermont did itself. Now, Colorado actually enfranchised their women in 1893, and 27 years later, the U.S. passed the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote countrywide. Now, I know it's kind of crazy that it took until the 20th century for that to actually happen, but you actually need to remember that the United States was one of the first three countries in the world to grant women the right to do so, along with New Zealand and Australia. So in these matters, America has been great. Now, and then it brings us to Social Security. In 1935, President Franklin D. Roosevelt passed the Social Security Act, and which has provided many compensation programs for people today, including unemployment compensation, welfare. They still exist to this very day. And although it's leaning more towards a socialism and less towards pure capitalism, some people actually view that as a good thing, as we're becoming a country that actually bears responsibility for its lower class. And in that matter, America has been great. Now, following World War I, Germany was left in complete ruin, if you recall, and it was one of the variables that enabled Hitler to actually rise to power. And then in World War II, Europe was absolutely devastated again, but the United States was not going to let that same issue happen. The Marshall Plan was conceptualized, and over $12 billion were poured into European countries to help combat the destruction and help rebuild their economy and jumpstart the industries. In this matter, America was looking out for other nations and making sure that the same atrocities didn't occur a second time. So in this matter, once again, America was great. And continuing after World War II, America was actually locked in the Cold War with USSR. And in 1961, JFK, John F. Kennedy, he committed to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely before the decade was out. Now, unfortunately, he did not live to see this unfold. But in 1969, the Apollo 11 landed on the moon with Neil Armstrong and his crew, and when they returned to Earth, they cemented their victory over the USSR in the space race. And in this matter, America was once again great. Now, in the first century of America's founding, Congress actually granted over 77 million acres of land to public school systems. We've done a marvelous job supporting education up until this point in our history. And according to a study conducted by U.S. Today in 2014, the United States is actually the fifth most widely educated country in the world, following Israel, Canada, Japan, and Russia. So in this matter, America has been great. We've brought innovative ideas and reformation to the global stage. We've been a consistent innovator in social and fiscal policy. However, things aren't perfect, and there's no denying our moments of greatness, and we all want to return to those moments of greatness as a nation, no matter our political views. However, there are issues today that we still have to deal with. There are higher racial tensions than there have ever been. All right, or well, since slavery was abolished, and women feel that men are making choices for them on behalf of their body. We're abolishing social programs. We are no longer publicly funding the moon race, and out of the top 5 countries in education, we have less than half of the growth rate of those other nations. So clearly, we have our work set out for us, but there's no denying that if we all were to band together and focus on what and not arguing over the wording of a slogan, we could actually set to work in making our country great again.